standing in his sunroof while driving his Cadillac down I-4.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lorena Creole, of course, bringing you that spice to sci-fi and pop culture analysis, keeping it real when it comes to theme parks. And as this is Sunday, you know it is the Welcome to Florida show, where we have fun laughing, cringing, and of course, going to be learning some really important things about not one, oh shoot, not one, but two Florida men who died in service to our great country known as United States of America. So we are going to talk about that. But before we get started, let's see who we've got here in the chat. I'm going to be flying solo to decide this evening. No worries. Hope you're all having a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. And if you don't know what Memorial Day weekend is truly about, well, your girl's going to remind you. So let's see who we've got here in the chat so far, you wonderful, amazing people. Let's see, I see Terry Rose throwing out those member emojis that I really need to update because we have so many amazing members now. Gator 1 got that Burger King tomato, and Gator 2 says, hello, friends. Well, hello, and good to see you, my dear. Good to see you. And we've got FKHC 2005 in the chat who says, hail, and hello to you. We got Snortapoopus Q Burr in the chat who says, hello, humans and other critters. Well, so good to see you, my dear. So good to see you. And let's see. I'm like doing 5 things at the same time. Smoking around fireworks, what could go wrong? Well, let's say smoking too close around fireworks, what could go wrong? I'm just saying. Northman JH, so good to see you. Says good evening. Well, good evening, and hello. Let's see. And Dadman Walking is in the chat. I had the wonderful pleasure of hanging out with him and the missus this past weekend. It says, hail from the greatest state in the union. Hold our beer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry, can't be there live, but be sure to hit the like button and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Yes, thank you. Yep, Dadman, I'm hoping you're going to be on the channel next week so we can do that part 2 discussion of famous historical forts in Florida. So much information. And Dadman has so much of it. And Snortapoopus says, remembering the heroes who sacrificed everything for our freedom. Yes, absolutely. As some of you may know, my late grandfather, he was born in Mississippi near the Louisiana border. He's where I get part of my Creole heritage from. And he lived in Florida. And almost every year when I was a kid, they would come to visit us, or I would come to stay with them, and I loved spending time with my grandfather in Jacksonville, a house that he told me that he was very proud of, that he bought with the GI Bill after he served in World War II, and he always made it a point to tell me the difference between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And if he was visiting in Philly during Memorial Day, he'd take me out, our town had this huge Memorial Day parade. So he would take me to that. Or if I was in Jacksonville, either during Memorial Day or 4th of July, we'd always go out, and he'd always remind me about the service that he did, the folks that he lost. Not that I could forget his service at all, because he told me a ton of stories about World War II, which I should probably tell y'all one day. But yeah, he told me a lot of amazing stories and never let me forget all of the blood and treasure that was spilled for this country. So Memorial Day is always special to me. Veterans Day is special to me, but Memorial Day is even more special to me. And for those of you who follow me on my Stroll and Chill live streams for Manic Monday tomorrow, like with Veterans Day, we are going to see the flag retreat ceremony at Walt Disney World for Memorial Day. So make sure you catch that special time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's see. Getting dicey out there. Be careful, Terry Rose. Be careful. Let's see. Mark Daly, hello, says greetings from the capital of Florida, aka South Georgia. South Georgia, home of T-Pain. Never gonna let folks forget that. And great, I got yes, I know, I have lipstick on my Invisalign. Hey, how you doing, Dylan Soup? So good to see you. Says, hey, Lorena, sup chat, sup chat. I see a D Nice Gamer. Says, hey, all, and throwing out all of those member emojis. More we gotta add, but I love it. Love that you guys enjoy those member emojis. And there's Jerry who says, hello, folks. Well, hello, hello, hello. Good to see you. Good to see you. We have got A2D2 who says, hail to the queen. Well, hey, A2D2, how you doing? One of my amazing mods, like to the likes of Snortopopus and Dadman. And I couldn't do this job without my mod. So thank you so very much. Good to see you, my dear. And Northman J8 says, our flag does not fly because of the wind that moves it. It flies with the last breath of each soldier who died protecting it, unknown. And that reminds me, channel members can probably go back and see it, but last year I did a show about Florida Man and Memorial Day. And what we did was we went through all of these stories of all these Florida men who either they died in service or they got like oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I'm blanking on what it is. Not the Purple Heart. I'm embarrassed. I can't remember. I can't remember. So Silver Star. Yeah. So we talked about that. Florida Man has done some crazy stuff against foreign enemies to serve the country. So go check that one out. But one of the things that I remember about this, and I'm glad you brought this up, Northman. If you ever look at the Iwo Jima statue, okay, if you've ever seen it, okay, the actual picture of the men who held up the flag for Iwo Jima, there's a Florida man in there. Remember that. I'm forgetting his name, but he was one of the men that raised that flag in Iwo Jima. So, yeah, folks can talk about Florida man all they want, but that was a Florida man. For sure, for sure. Hey, Thanatos Felicitas says, hello, everyone. Let the fun begin. Well, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We have got Rambam 3000 who says, hail. Well, hail and hello to you. We have got Dave Cable in the chat. Says, hey, Lorena. Well, hey, hello, 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 hello. And let's see, methinks Lorena is sporting some new glasses. Yes, these are the Tony Stark specials straight out of Stark Industries. Yes, I needed some blue light glasses. You know me, got to be fashionable. I've been in love with those Tony Stark glasses ever since I saw him wear them in Iron Man. So Gunnar Optics has them both in non-prescription and prescription. These are non-prescription because I'm nearsighted, so I have no problem seeing up close, but it's far away. Is the issue. So the far away ones, that's the ones where I have the Orange County Sheriff, the Orange County Sheriff glasses, the polarized lenses. Hey, Demaj and I. Thank you for that $2 super chat, my dear. The Lord Commander, the Dark Council says hashtag pimp raid, sup Lorena. What's up, WWII? Thank you so much for being here and supporting the channel. I sure appreciate that. Folks, make sure you support Demogenize channel. Go check out his channel. He's awesome. Just had, I believe, Spellbroken Live. He switched the nights for Spellbroken Live and Spellbroken Gaming. So Spellbroken Gaming, I believe, is on Saturday now, and Spellbroken Live is on Sunday now. So just so y'all know. Just so y'all know. I'm not planning on going on too long tonight. I'm back on math tutoring math tutoring duty. So let's see here. Who else we got? Dave Cable, good to see you. We've got Goofer35. Good to see you, my dear. Good to see you. Good to see you. And yeah, I did see that Beetlejuice trailer in the theater. It was pretty wild. The yeah, the trailer was cool. In the words of Canberra Girl, they better not mess it up. Lorena, you missed a golden opportunity at Disney Springs last night to become a Florida woman across social. Yeah, I did, but I'm just like, you know what? Not worth me reintroducing myself to Orange County Sheriff's Department. I try to stay out of trouble, you know. Let's just say I'm very protective of my personal space. Don't invade it if I don't know you. So anyway, for folks who didn't know, something I put on X, last night I was down at Disney Springs. Had an umbrella that, Dad Vance, graciously loaned me, and I'm walking around, and this dude just comes at me like full frontal hug, like, oh, I'm trying to get out of the rain, and you got an umbrella. I'm just like, if I wasn't here with people I know, would have ended much more differently. So instead, I pretty much gave him the look of death, and he skulked off to whoever his companion was for the night. It's like, yeah, I don't care how drunk you are, you don't roll up on me like that. No, I lived in LA. Don't do that. Don't do that. Emily Kruger's in the chat. Hello, it says happy Sunday. Well, hello. Happy Sunday to you too. Good to see you. Good to see you. Q435. Anyone see Jenny's video ripping the Star Cruiser apart? She ripped it hard for being such a massive Disney Star Wars show. I saw it come across my feed. I'm not watching 4 hours of that. Especially for Disney shows who were just blowing smoke like this Galactic Star Cruiser. It's the best. It's awesome. If you don't like it, you're a Disney hater. I'm like, no, I don't like it because I'm not paying close to what? $5,000 for not even 2 days? Mm-mm. No. And now since now it's cool to ding Disney, because that's a shift now. Now it's okay for certain people to call out Disney now after some of us have been doing this for I don't know how freaking long. No. Nah, I'm not giving her the pleasure review for that. Sitting through 4 hours, that's freaking ridiculous. My grandpa was fighting in World War II for the U.S. and was a part of D-Day. Sadly, he's not with us anymore, but he did live in Florida back in the 60s. There was something about those generation of veterans that when they retired, they all rolled into Florida. No joke, especially like in Naples. Yeah, they were all in there. If you've ever seen, and if you get a chance, watch it, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. The way that one of the missions that was in there was that they had to disable the German U-boats, the supply lines, because without guarantee of safe passage, the United States couldn't truly enter World War II because their ships would be sitting, sitting ducks. So by the time they finally cleared that out, because the U-boats were actually patrolling the U.S. Coastline. So one of the things that my grandfather told me was that he did not like having to having to get on a battleship and having to make that passage, that crossing all the way from the port of Jacksonville all the way over to Europe. He was just like, he said he didn't ever want to go on a ship again. But yeah, D-Day was something else. That's one of my favorite historical battles to read about, because I'll never forget one time I was in the dentist's office in Florida. Okay, I was in Florida, and Time Magazine had this gorgeous spread about D-Day, because I like details and stuff like that. So they had everything set up, like, where was Omaha Beach, and where the different platoons were. It was so cool, and I'm reading it, and this elderly gentleman comes up and he says, "Oh, Omaha Beach. I was there." I'm like, "Oh, God bless you." And he's telling people, "Oh, yeah, she's reading about Omaha Beach. I was in Omaha Beach." I'm just like, "God bless you, dude, for coming back." Good to see you, Chef Nation. Says, "Good evening, beautiful people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Good to see you and little chef." I saw about half of Drunk 3PO's reaction to that video. She was on point. I'm not sitting through that video. 4 hours? No. I guess it was funny, but I'm just like, nah, I'm not interested. She's on point because it pays now. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, Daniel Ramirez. So many of you guys, I see you with the pimp raid coming on in. We got Amy Jo Johnson in the chat. Let's see. We have there's Revenge of the Nether Realm with the pimp raid. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. Love the pimp raid coming on in here. I love it. Love it. Love it. Keely Chow says, "Hey, everybody. Good seeing you. Good seeing you. No worries about running late." Yeah, I missed that with Retro Nerd Girl. Unfortunately, I had something come up, but I couldn't make it, and I felt horrible because I love Amadeus. I love that movie. I love Mozart in general as a classic composer. You can't beat that stuff. Especially since it seems whenever there's a pretentious party going on in a film, they're always playing Eine kleine Nachtmusik from Mozart. It's perfect. It was also in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective. Let's see. Rampant 3000, U.S. Navy SEAL team and Vietnam veteran Richard Marchenko called the Purple Heart an enemy marksmanship medal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. And thank you, Snortapoopus, for looking this up. Thank you. Ernest Boots Thomas was the flag raiser from Florida. He was KIA 8 days later. Dang. Well, Boots, we are definitely not forgetting you for that. Once I heard Florida Man was involved, I'm like, dang, that is something else. So thank you so much for looking that up, Snortapoopus. Unexpected Fire says, "Howdy, Reina Creole and chat. Happy Memorial Day." Well, happy Memorial Day to you all. So glad you're here. Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Dumb guy beat with an umbrella in Orlando. Story to 11. Yeah, that was almost happening. Almost happening. Jenny wasn't shilling that video. She ripped it good. Okay. Well, I will take your word for it. Like I said, I have the shortest attention span. I can't sit through a 4-hour video for that. I'm like, 4 hours? Man, Defunct Land doesn't even 4-hour video as far as I know. Hey, Teresa, good to see you. Good to see you, my dear. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, Teresa. Mark Daly, both my grandpas fight in World War II. One in Germany, was on the team that liberated Auschwitz. The other was in the Navy fixing fighter planes in the Pacific. Both made it back. Thank God. Yeah, I hear you. My grandfather, he didn't, I forget where he was. He was a cook in the military. So I think where his company was, I think they had liberated one of the concentration camps. Because when I learned about it in school and learned that he was in World War II, was asking us questions, he was just like, "There's some stuff I don't want to talk about." And I said, "Well, I saw this movie at school called Night and Fog, and they showed like just just the atrocities that happen, especially at some of the concentration camps like Auschwitz." And I was like, "Was that really true? Is that really true?" I mean, this is me, trust but verify. It's like, okay, they showed me that in school, but I'm gonna ask dude who actually had boots on the ground in Germany. And I asked him, and he was just like, "Yeah, it's all true. It was all true." So I'm glad he came back. And some folks probably feel some way about it, but I will say this much: when they dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's the only thing that prevented him from getting sent to the Pacific, because the Pacific was a straight up meat grinder for real. Hey, Clay Thomason. Hello, everyone. Where is the Wiki Culture Casino? Well, Culture's got family stuff going on. All good, all good. I wasn't sure if I was going to stream or not on Memorial Day weekend, but Memorial Day weekend is really important to me. So I said, even if I'm here for a little while, boom, we're going to hang out. We're going to hang out. 4 hours of that, no thank you. Yeah, I can't. I can't even stream for 4 hours. I love y'all, but man, I think three hours is my time limit. Unless I'm hanging out with the Dark Council doing a chill stream. That's easily about 6 hours, but that's like hanging out with your friends and doing crazy-ish, you know, all that stuff going on. Dragon Master 3000 says, "Happy Memorial Day weekend, all. I'll be playing Final Fantasy 14 while listening in." Well, enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. I am hoping to get to play some Kingdom Hearts tomorrow. Have all the games for the PS4. I'm finally gonna freaking play one. I'm hoping I can get a chance to do that. Let's see. James Doohan piloted one of the landing craft at D-Day, ironically, the one with all the engineers. Yes, I'd heard about that with James Doohan. Don't y'all remember when Hollywood had a reverence for veterans? Hey, Chrono says, "Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Good to see you. Good to see you." Larry Elder's father was a Marine. Hmm. He was. Hey, Darth Plato says, "Hey, Lorena Creole. Well, good to see you. Good to see you here." My grandfather was on a destroyer escorting the Yorktown at Coral Sea and Midway. My uncle was at the Bulge. Ooh, Battle of the Bulge. Wow. I tell you, it's just from a historical perspective, because I'm a history junkie, but I'm also a military history junkie too. So that stuff I'll like watch. Oh, well, good. I hope you will, because like I said earlier, for Memorial Day, I will be at the Magic Kingdom, and we're going to be watching the flag retreat ceremony at the Magic Kingdom. So it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. USS Haggard, my stepfather was on that ship fighting Japanese. I love hearing these stories, especially especially for some of our relatives and grandparents and great grandparents and Terrence who like served in the military, especially with World War II, because I think all of those veterans are pretty much gone. So hardly anybody in my family wanted to listen to my grandfather's like war stories, but I would be fascinated by them and just how he would tell him and all this stuff that would go on. And a lot of it was politically incorrect, but things that he would tell me, you know. So it's like I'm glad I listened to some of those stories, especially story where they had two German shepherds. One named for the Austrian guy who I guess he was Austrian, he wasn't German, he had the mustache, the socialist. And the other one was his Italian dictator friend. Google it. Lorena, if you own an Imperial Star Destroyer, what would you call it? Probably the mothership. Like from Parliament Funkadelic. Talia, my sister says smooches. You have to come down here and visit because we have to do a stream about visiting Palatka. People want us to talk about that. Going to Palatka, like, there's only one stoplight and the water stinks. Hey, Paolo the Bradley Spud says, evening, Lorena. Evening. Good to see you. Good to see you, my dear. Go check out Ron's channel. So awesome. Let's see. Oh, excuse me. My grandfathers on both sides served, and my stepdad served. All are now deceased. Oh, that's a shame. I will say, if you've ever been to a military funeral, it's something else. Baptist funerals are the top of the extra, the really extra, and then there's the military funerals. But yeah, that's why I love talking about this stuff, especially about those who served and who are no longer here anymore, and just like hearing everyone's memories about them. Let's see. Dan Carlin, who runs Hardcore History, says if it's hard to get veterans from Europe to talk, it was almost impossible to get the Pacific veterans to open up. Yeah. Pacific was crazy. I mean, I can't even tell you. Can't even tell you. Let's see. I think we have everybody here. Yep, I think we do. So let's roll here. Of course. Thank you so very much. Just follow on Twitter, Florida Ing. You don't love the beach, but it's Memorial Day weekend. Well, it is Memorial Day weekend, the start of the summer travel season. Again, when I wanted to be in Florida, because our relatives would freaking have family reunions and we were still in school and we couldn't leave. I forgot about that. Talia says favorite grandpa war stories when they dragged the snoring soldier out into the snow. Oh, that was funny. Oh my gosh. Oh, they had so many funny stories. Oh my goodness. Freaking love that. Let's see. My stepfather served in Germany during Vietnam because his brother was serving in Vietnam. At that time, brothers could not serve in the same location. Yes, and it had to do with, and I'm glad Darth Plato is here. I forget the name of the battleship, and I think it was a Union ship, and it got sunk by Confederate forces, and four brothers, all from the same family, were on that ship. So it wiped that family out. So after that, they're like, no, can't have, you know, immediate siblings serving together. And Cynthia Carter, hello, says my uncle who served in Korea wouldn't talk about it. We discovered when he died that he had a Bronze Star. Some things those guys don't want to remember more than they have to. Yeah. That's why that time when my grandfather was just like, there's some stuff I never want to ever have to see again, smell again. I'm like, okay. So when he would say that, whenever he wanted to talk about stories, war stories, I would listen because those are the stories that he wanted to tell. Like when he had to go to, I guess when he found out they were going to have to take a battleship, and I forget how long it took to cross the Atlantic. What was it? Was it like a week, 2 weeks, something like that? Um, And he was just like, they had to go through the drills and everything for what happened if the ship was going to take on water. And he's like, well, what if we're on the other side and we can't get there in time for them to, lock the doors? Dude told him, well, tough titties. It's just too bad for you. Oh, God, it was nuts. I thought that was Private Ryan. The four Sullivan brothers were lost when the USS Juno was sunk in 1942. Okay, I know there was also a story about in the Civil War too. That also happened. So yeah, that happened in World War II, USS Juno. Yeah, so there was that, but there was also it's also a Union frigate that happened too, because I remember that from the history test. Tough whatties? It said tough titties. That's what they said. For some reason in the South, it's not polite to say boobs, but everybody will say titties. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But my grandfather told me that story. I'm like, did he say what I just think he said? And for some reason, I can hear like Arlie Irby saying that. Well, tough titties. Anyway, so many of you guys in here. Let's get through these slides here. It is really hot down here. It's going to be super 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 hot. Tomorrow I have to make sure I bring my umbrella, sunscreen, all that. It's not even going to rain tomorrow. It's just going to be super hot. So if you're at the parks, make sure you get plenty of water. You can get tap water for free at any refreshment stand at Disney and also Universal as well. They don't like to tell you that, but yeah, it's there. It's there. So you can get it. Today's special 5 minutes in the walk-in freezer with any purchase. This is why lots of people like going to, let's say, Publix in the summer because it's nice and frozen, well, nice and cold. I love it in there. I love it. Humidity is pretty disgusting. It's back. That's why we always say some people have signs out here like this, and my sister is probably cracking up right now. Due to rising temperatures, we will not accept boob money. My Nana, who was born and raised in Palatka, okay, that's where she liked to put her money at. Yeah, I know. It was wild. And every time I see this, I laugh because I know so many people who do this. I have done this from time to time and then regretted it immensely. Immensely. Didn't say you can't put it in your bra strap. You just can't, when the temperatures are so hot, it's time to put, talcum powder in your bra. Yeah, it's kind of hot. Yes, I had relatives who did that too. My Palaka relatives, I didn't know what shower to shower was. I thought it was some kind of new kind of soap or something like that. But they would have tons. Well, this is before they knew it could cause cancer or something like that. Tons of talcum powder. I'm like, what the heck is that? Cynthia Carter says, having done cashiering, yeah, the sweaty dollars are kind of gross. Oh, why does Captain America look like a seagull just stole his French fries at the beach? Because he's weird. Boob money is done so often, I'm surprised no credit or banking card companies decided to lean into that. LOL. Ah, too funny. Too flippin' funny. Let's see. Please dress for the body you have, not the body you wish you had. I'm forgetting there's a nude beach that's near I think it's near the Space Center. Near in the Atlantic Beach. Yeah. hmm yeah, New Beach isn't exactly what you think that is. Captain America on the right is the most handsome. I agree. I agree. Hey John Cipolla, how you doing? Good to see you. I'm 37 of you guys hanging out here with me. Florida man, day drinking at the beach since 1976. I'm not gonna say where. Hmm. But yeah, this I'm sorry, this brings back childhood memory. Back in the day, oh heck yeah. You ever see that meme where the dad's got the beer and he's giving the kids the beer, the stuff that okay, kids don't try this at home, but yeah. They're like, oh, just give them beer. Wait, there was a point in this country where beer was safer to drink than water, which is why I believe why American beer is such a joke is because we weren't drinking beer over here to, for intoxication per se, but beer was safer to drink than water because of the fermentation process. So that's why. Kind of like how in Spanish Florida, the wine was safer to drink than the water, which is why they came up with sangria, which is half wine, half fruit juice, stuff like that. So it's pretty much what they what they did. Lorena Creole, the Civil War story is of the Bixby brothers. Okay, thank you. I knew what that was. That was one of those things where you hear about it in history class, you're like, wow, okay, okay. I'm not going to forget that. Thank you, Dark Plato. Just chilling with my Italian Manhattan coffee soda. No, not bitter at all. With the kid on the beach. When he was that size, he used to get into my dad's empties. My uncle, every time that he would visit, he'd come over to visit in Palaca. Okay. They were like, we'll be right back. We have to go to the ABC store. I'm like, oh, is that a toy store? Because it's got like these bright primary colors and looks like a block. And I'm like, why is he always going to the toy store before coming to visit everyone else? ABC is the liquor store. And with certain relatives, yeah, I understand exactly why he had to go first. This reminds me of the final scene of the Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau with the chest of beer. Yep, that's my grandpappy bear letting me sip his beer when I was a cub, but it removed any curiosity I had about it. Of course, my folks were bud drinkers, but we remodeled our front raised bed on an 80s house we bought, and we found some Coors cans left over from the builders, Arizona. Speaking of Budweiser, I don't know if any of y'all follow. Well, for those who follow me on Twitter, I talked about this. Okay, so out in DreamWorks land, and you know what? I'm gonna share this. I have to share this because I'm so freaking proud of myself for like paying attention when this happened. So I know. Sidebar, hang with me. So I got to go to a preview of DreamWorks Land. I'm working on a video, right? And in one of the play areas, there is King Harold's Swamp Symphony. Now, you step on the lily pads, and and the frogs say, they sing like a certain note, right? Okay. So here you hop on the lily pads over there, and every time you do, one of the frogs, you know, will say a note. Well, I didn't think anything of it, and all of a sudden I'm walking by and I hear this frog say I'm like, what? Yes. Oh, sorry. King Harold, if you've seen the Shrek 2 and 3, John Cleese's character, he was Fiona's father, the king, King Harold. Turns out King Harold uh, made a deal with the fairy godmother, so that's how he got together with the queen. But by the end of Shrek 2, he basically took a enchanted bullet for his daughter, and he turned back into a frog. So anyway, I know, long story. So anyway, I hear this frog say and I'm like, no, you've got to be kidding me, right? I'm not gonna say how because it's a secret. But if you hit certain lily pads in a certain order, you got the Budweiser frogs. Universal is freaking hilarious. So yes, you can recreate the Budweiser commercial, and once adults figure that out, they have more fun than the kids with the Swamp Symphony thing. Yes, Cynthia Carter, they sing Budweiser. Budweiser, straight out of the commercial. Straight out of the commercial. I actually have it on video. I have to pump up the volume on it, but yes. Because I went there and did that sucker like about 5 times. I'm like moving kids out the way. I'm like, you done? You done? You done? Move. You don't even know what you're stepping on. That is to be fair, because some people were just like, oh my God. Look, if the kids have no idea, it'll go right over their head. Only if you've ever seen the Budweiser frog commercial, as soon as you hear that tone, you're just like, no, they didn't put it in. Yeah, it's not obvious. It is not obvious at all. We'll just say if there's kids playing on it and adults hanging out there and an adult and you hear that, you're like, is that really what I think it is? It's like, move out the way, kid. I gotta recreate the Budweiser commercial. Bud Light or Bud Light. The latter. Bud Light. Yeah. It's freaking amazing. I got to give props to Universal for coming up with that. I'm like, that's the perfect in joke. And I freaking love it. But anyway, yeah. So as soon as you brought up Budweiser, I'm like, I gotta tell you. I gotta tell you. Stuff like that's why I love Universal. Just a reminder, my fellow Floridians, whatever bad decisions you decide to make this Memorial Day weekend, the judge isn't in until Tuesday. The Karens are going to croak over it. They probably will, but I don't think so. They'll probably say, "Shut up, we're enjoying this." Of course, you can give plausible deniability. No, I have no idea what they're saying. I don't know. It's a note. Oh, Mars. Yes, I remember that too. That's like how happy I get when they start singing, when they start King Julian starts to perform. I like to move it, move it. And I remember that from the Jock Jams CD. Making a ton of money. Yes, Budweiser frogs at Universal. Yes. And just to remind everyone, your day at the beach brought to you by their day at the beach. So remember that, folks. Remember that. And of course, Florida Ing, do Florida type things. And yes, I got to meet Oh My Goddess Wix. Oh my gosh. So thank you guys. Only 43 of you folks being here. Let's see. Trying to think of where. Oh yeah. Let's start with let's start with a crazy story. We're gonna start with this one because daggone it, I love my governor. I'm so glad I no longer live in Pennsylvania. I love having a governor that's gangster. A governor that's so gangster that he cheers how the record time of clearing protesters off the road down here. Now, in case folks you haven't seen, we got some folks who kind of make the very, very wrong decision to try to block traffic to protest in a state where they can hit you with their car, pretty much for that particular reason. So, I think I showed you guys last week where these people tried to block the exit from Disney World onto I-4, and folks got out the car and look like they were about to throw hands, and they're yelling, "Free Palestine! Free Palestine!" acting all big and bad. And within 11 minutes, cops showed up and they tried to run away. No, 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 no. 11 minutes, which I think was faster than what happened in Miami when they were trying to block traffic in Miami. The cops showed up quick. Mm. They recently blocked the Golden Gate Bridge too. Yeah, see, California is stupid enough to allow that. We don't play that down here. Mm-mm. No, it's hot. People got things to do. No, 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 no. Oh, I didn't know that about Jimmy Doo and Thanatos. I didn't know that. I love DeSantis as much as a straight man can love another man. I wish he got the presidential nomination. I was greedy. I'm like, no, you can't have him. You can't have him. Can't have him. We need him. We need him here. Let's see. Robert Anderson said, "So I'm supposed to listen to people who don't know the difference between a man and a woman about something as complicated as decades old conflict." Okay. Yeah. They expect for people to listen to them. They're like, No, 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 you idiots. No. I mean, that's one thing. If you want to protest, you know, You have your, where you're permitted to, and it's peaceful, and you can be out there where people can either honk or laugh at you or whatever. That's perfectly fine. But you don't go blocking traffic. Nuts. Nuts. Trade you DeSantis for Gavin Oh, heck. Mm-mm. No. Mm-mm. Gavin Newsom needs to stay in that state he's screwed up so much. You couldn't pay me to move back to Cali. Not at all. Not at all. So, Coral Gables, Governor Ron DeSantis celebrated a record 11-minute long removal of pro-Palestinian protesters when they attempted to block a road to Disney World. Don't block a road not to Disney. Heck no. Mm-mm. How come these folks didn't try to block like OBT or something like that? Orange Blossom Trail, places where they want to block them, OBT, the place with like the no-tell motels and all that stuff. According to local reports, law enforcement arrested 3 pro-Palestinian protesters within 11 minutes of their demonstration. The women obstructed the traffic on Interstate 4, blocking the exits to Epcot and Disney Springs and Walt Disney World. Last weekend, we had a Queers for Palestine. You want to talk about an oxymoron there. Think they could take over the intersection going to Disney World, DeSantis said during a press conference Monday. Florida Highway Patrol got them off in, I think, 11 minutes. So that's a world record. Don't mess with FHP. All right. That is not smart. Not smart whatsoever. Making people wait in traffic is no bueno. I don't care what your cause is. You do not cause people to wait in traffic, especially in areas that already have traffic. And that's a high traffic area. People are tired. They're hot. They're already ripped off. Nah. DeSantis joked that if more protesters tried to put up similar obstruction in places like Miami, the local law enforcement there may have a little healthy competition and beat the record set by authorities in Orlando. Yeah, that was fast. That was fast. You do not. You do not. Y'all messing with Mickey's money. He ain't playing. I'm doing that. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. So we go from that one to this one. Got to talk about this. Florida woman at Disney Park knocked unconscious on 5-story water slide, lawsuit alleges. A similar lawsuit was filed against Disney World last year, alleging the same ride had caused an injurious wedgie. Let's put it this way. Morgan & Morgan is on the case yet again with another lawsuit. I think this is the Humunga Cowabunga. It's this really, really cool water slide. And Ron is I think Ron's still in the chat. I think you have to like cross your arms like this. And it is the craziest water slide I've ever freaking been on. It's hilarious. There's one like it at Universal, which is crazy. And I love it. But Morgan & Morgan is everywhere, so nope, don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, forget that. But anyway, a woman is alleging in a lawsuit against Disney Parks that a mishap on one of their water slides left her with a brain injury and a bleeding wound. Well, that's not good. Again, it's alleged. That's what they're alleging. The lawsuit claims a 25-year-old woman was severely injured while riding the Disney World's Humunga Cowabunga water slide. And I've been on this water slide, okay, which consists of 3 body tubes totaling 214 feet in length. The ride ends in a nearly 5-story plummet in the dark at nearly 40 miles per hour into the pool. Dang, I love this ride. Love this water slide. Okay, so You have your coaster junkies, which I am one. But then you also have, the water slide junkies. The crazier, the better. And this is one of my favorites right here. Mhm. Morgan and Morland finally bagged their great white whale of deep pockets. Hmm. Morgan and Morgan, ambulance chasing lawyers headed by a guy with DUI convictions. And I think he's the same guy who, instead of showing the cops his driver's license, he showed them his marijuana card, allegedly. Well, no, he did, because he actually told that story on Facebook. Yeah, he copped to it. Yeah, Morgan and Morgan, they're the slip and fall injury lawyers, and apparently they like to sue Disney a lot. So yeah, Typhoon Lagoon, I thought it was going to be Summit Plummet. Summit Plummet, that's another one. That's another one. Yeah. The plaintiff claims that she at some point went unconscious after banging inside the ride, leading her fiance and future mother in law to find her limp body at the end of the ride. Okay. The lawsuit goes on to allege that the fiance and his mother were told by attendants that lifeguards were not immediately available and would need to be called. Okay, I'm not saying they're wrong, but at Disney it seems like you cannot swing a dead cat around without hitting a lifeguard. So, I don't know about that. The lifeguards were not immediately available. They're usually crawling all over the place. Let's see. Eventually, a lifeguard came and said they couldn't help or touch the plaintiff either and called an ambulance, the document claims. Had the Disney parks had lifeguards at the end of the ride to watch and help guests coming off the ride, plaintiff's brain injury would not have occurred, as she wouldn't have been drowning in the water coughing up blood. Okay. So this is a legend, and it's been a while since I've been at any of the water parks at Walt Disney World, but I remember of quite a bit of lifeguards that are around. So yeah, this seems a little, not to say that there isn't plausible deniability, but or maybe I'm thinking of oh my gosh, the water park at Universal, because there's like a couple that are like that, and when you come, you know out the water slide or whatever, there's usually a couple of lifeguards that are there. Snorter Poopa says we need some clarification. Was she being banged around inside the ride? Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Something's kind of weird. I mean, that's close quarters in those tubes. She could have maybe come around a little bit weird and maybe like hit her head or something like that. That is very possible. Or did she not keep her arms crossed and maybe try to stop herself or something like that? I don't know. But I do know that when you go through those fast water slides like that, you do have to cross your arms to, protect yourself. That's what they say. They will yell at you if you don't do that before they let you go. Mr. Stock, Diz Stock is a wild ride. Yes, it is. I bought Disney stock at such a low price. Even if I sold it, I'd still be making 3 times what I paid for it. But I'm a buy and hold kind of girl. Not offering stock advice on the show. Let's see. Sounds like a few story contradictions here. Yeah, the Discovery is going to be something else on this one, because let's see. I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Okay, so read the lawsuit. Yeah. Parks and resorts. $50,000 exclusive of costs, interest, and attorney fees. Anytime I see 50,000, I'm a little suspect. Hey Tim, how you doing? Says on your left, Hale, where is Cult Dog tonight? Family Memorial Day stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So I told him, don't worry. Hang with the fam. Hang with the fam. So he'll be back next week. So let's see here. $50,000 residing in Orange County. Oh, okay. So they live in Orange County. Humunga Cowabunga. Mm-hmm. Plaintiff went tubing, but at some point went unconscious after banging inside the ride. Plaintiff's fiance and his mother discovered plaintiff's lift body at the end of the ride and frantically asked attendants for help. Blah, blah, blah. The attendants told plaintiff's fiance and mother that they were not lifeguards and would have to find lifeguards to help. As they were all waiting for help, blood kept coming out of the plaintiff's mouth in the water. Okay, so they had to wait for the defendant's ride attendants to get a lifeguard. Lifeguard came and said they couldn't touch him, called for an ambulance. They probably didn't want to get sued. They probably were not EMTs. Let's see. Defendants had lifeguards at the end of the ride to help and watch guests. Plaintiff's brain injury would not have occurred and she wouldn't have been drowning in the water coughing up blood. Okay, so here's my thing. Discovery is going to be something else to find out exactly what the deal is with this. So who knows? It could have been something pre-existing. Not saying that it's not possible. All kinds of stuff can go wrong in these attractions. They're not perfect. But again, discovery is going to be interesting. Very interesting with how this comes out. Tim Bowman says this makes me want to ride the ride. Oh, it's a fun water slide. It is a fun water slide for real. Is there camera footage of this? It's possible. I am of the idea that Disney has cameras everywhere. As for cameras inside the slides, they might have one. I don't know for sure. But I just find it really, it makes me skeptical. But then again, this is an alleged lawsuit. So they have to prove their case unless Disney's like, you know what? We'll throw you $50,000 and you can't tell anybody about the details of the suit. They'll do that. For some of these people, they're just, they'll settle out of court. But Morgan and Morgan is constantly advertising between the billboards, between the television ads. So who knows? So I'm glad this young lady is okay. I'm glad she's all right. But I'm hoping that discovery uncovers truly what happened. So if Disney's at fault, then they need to pay. If the plaintiff's at fault, that's what happens. But if I do remember correctly, isn't there some kind of waiver that you sign? I'm just saying, it's all part of part of the case. All part of the case. The Reina Creole, go look up where the phrase "no room to swing a cat" comes from. Put it this way: it's got nothing to do with cats. You mean the vicar of Dibley lied to me? Because that's where I first heard it. Was in the vicar of Dibley Britcom. Okay, now I'm really scared. I'm really scared now. Oh, not gonna try to do that. They left her in the water waiting on a lifeguard. No, it's with Humunga Cowabunga. Okay, it's like it's this long, huge water slide, really fast, and basically you wind up getting spit out at the end. So whoever, they may have had cast members there who were not lifeguards, because lifeguard is like an additional specialty. with lifeguards, you have to, you have to be able to do CPR, all this other stuff. So I guess they didn't feel comfortable with that because they couldn't really figure out what was going on, and whoever knows what the procedures are. I don't know what the particular procedures are. So they're waiting on a lifeguard. Lifeguard shows up, says, "Guess what? I don't want to get involved in this. So let's call EMTs." So which is what they did. But who knows? Again, the discovery is what's going to uncover this. If it gets to the discovery case, if they settle out of court, we're not gonna know. I used to live in Conway and worked at Disney Epcot. It was fun, but Universal threw better parties for the employees. Oh, I bet you they did. Universal knows how to party. I miss Jaws. I miss Jaws. Well, that's the second lawsuit for Humunga Cowabunga. It's a very, very, very short case. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very, very interesting. Find out what happens with that. So 39 of you folks in here watching, thank you so very much. This is a Welcome to Florida show. To close out the show, there's going to be two stories that I want to read to all of you. Sad, but at the same time, a very wonderful conclusion. With a lot of POWs, they haven't been identified, remains haven't been found. Families have been wondering for years what have happened with some of their loved ones. So we not only have one, but two soldiers to talk about. So, Florida World War II soldier who died as a POW accounted for 81 years later. Can you imagine waiting 81 years to find out what happened? What happened to your loved one in the service? But let's see here. A Florida soldier who died in World War II was finally accounted for 81 years after his death, according to the Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, DPAA. On Thursday, the DPAA announced that U.S. Army Private Robert L.A. Hurst, who was 21 when he died as a prisoner of war in World War II, was accounted for on July 10 of this year. So that's actually July 10th from last year, 2023. Hurst of Wabasso, Florida, was a member of the 429th Signal Maintenance Company when Japanese forces invaded the Philippine Islands in December 1942. Hurst was one of thousands of U.S. and Filipino service members who were captured and interned at POW camps, DPAA said. Those prisoners of war were subjected to the 65-mile Bataan Death March and held at the Cabanatuan POW camp where more than 25,000 prisoners perished. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Bataan Death March. Go look that up. I remember that from history class. And when I found out about it, I'm like, you or what? Yeah, the Bataan, there's a reason why they call it the Death March. So go look that up. DPAA said historical records show Hurst died on July 27th, 1942, and was buried with other prisoners at the Cabanatuan Camp Cemetery in Common Grave 225. So put basically in, Common Grave with a bunch of other people. Hurst's remains, as well as the remains of other unidentified remains of those associated with Common Grave 225, were sent back to DPAA for analysis back in 2018. Scientists were able to identify Hearst using dental and anthropological analysis, as well as circumstantial evidence. And I love this part. I'll tell you why in a minute. Mitochondrial DNA and Y chromosome DNA analysis from the Armed Forces Medical Examiner System. Here's why I love this. Okay. There's certain data, I guess, with like his dental records and all of that with his service record first when he got into the service. But using DNA, the reason they can link that is that they can take common like ancestors, like cousins, aunts, uncles, parents, do DNA testing because males have the maternal line and the paternal line. Mitochondrial, which is the maternal line. Yes, I'm gonna get nerdy here. And the Y chromosome, which is only passed down from father to son. Women only have the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed from, we'll say grandmother to mother to the daughter. It's a straight matrilineal line. So testing any male family members like brothers, cousins, stuff like that, along with the dental records can put that all together as a package to identify who this guy was. I love this. There's so much about my family history that I would not even know were it not for DNA testing. So yay for TNA for DNA testing. I'm telling you, it's freaking science, man. I love it. I love it. Science. Exactly. Let's see here. Hearst is to be buried in Vero Beach, Florida on a date to be determined. So I may have to look that up to see exactly when that happened. The Cabanatuan POW camp was the one featured in the movie The Great Raid. Oh, okay. I'll have to look that up. It was required meeting when you're living in the Philippines. Yeah, I heard about it in I want to say, no, it was like in 8th grade. And we're studying American history and studying World War II. And that was when I first heard about the Bataan Death March. And I was just like, damn. Rampant 3000 says that Japan makes such a noise about the atomic bombings, but they've never apologized for Nanking, the human experiments at Unit 737, or the Bataan Death March. Yes, I have noticed that. Anytime I've kind of heard some people say, well, America should apologize for dropping, the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I'm like, did you apologize for Pearl Harbor? War is war. That's exactly what it is. So, be consistent. You know what I'm saying? My grandfather is alive, and a lot of other grandfathers are alive because those bombs were dropped on Japan. Because remember, they dropped the first one and they didn't surrender. They had to drop the second one. And then the emperor, who was basically a god to them, actually got on the radio and said, yeah, we surrender. Yeah. It was either save American lives with the bomb or put them through the meat grinder. Not going to work. Yeah, it was brutal. Absolutely brutal. No joke. Read about it. My grandfather was in the Philippines when the Japanese invaded and went to a POW camp. Well, Tim, God bless you if my grandfather survived that. Because that was just nuts. There is this oh my gosh, there is this, I'm going to tell this joke because I'm so not PC. I'm going to tell this joke. No, because I think I'm forgetting the actress who said this joke, but I think she was yeah, she was no, she was Chinese. So her boyfriend, she was talking to her mother and she's just like, "Well, I want your, I'm dating this black guy." And her grandmother's like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, I dated this black guy." She's like, "No, I don't want you to date a black guy. No, do not want you dating a black guy." She says, "Oh, okay. All right. Well, then I'll date a Japanese guy." Her mother's like, "Okay, you can date a black guy then." Freaking funny, but makes a point. 'Cause I know about the raping man king. Know about that. It's crazy. So yeah, so props to U.S. Army Private Robert L.A. Hurst of Wabasso, Florida. So glad, thanks to DNA evidence, his remains have been identified, and he, of course, will be properly laid to rest. So I love stories like this. It's sad, but at the same time, now he's been identified and his family can have closure. Thank you so much, Scott, for gifting those 5 Reina Creole memberships. Thank you so much. I so appreciate that, my dear. So appreciate the support of my channel. You guys help me do so many cool things with your support of my channel. So I appreciate that so very, very, very much. Very, very much. Let's see. Lorena Creole says, "I looked up the projected casualties for the land invasion of Japan. About 2 million dead on our side alone, and there was no way Churchill was going to let us face that alone." On behalf of like all the Brits watching, can I just say how pissed I am that Obama returned the bus to Churchill? Okay, that still pisses me off to this freaking day. Pissed off a lot of Americans. I just wanted to say that. Just wanted to say that. Look up We Band of Angels about American nurses at Baton. Oh, okay. Okay. I certainly will. Certainly will. All right. So our last story, and I'm really hoping that I can pop this video out? At least I hope I can. Okay, there we go. All right. Military identifies remains of Lakeland. Oh, daggone it. I need to sorry. Sorry, boomering. Military identifies remains of Lakeland soldier who died in World War II POW camp. So this is another one. Remember correctly. Yes, this is another one. So what you guys are seeing right now is the footage of the pilot, this World War II pilot who died in a POW camp. He's finally being laid to rest in St. Petersburg after 80 years of being MIA. So I wonder if he was in that common grave of remains that got identified. So we'll find that out. But at the same time, I'm just going to leave this up so you guys can see, them actually laying the soldier to rest. So the remains of a Lakeland soldier who was captured during World War II, were identified over 80 years after his death. The Defense POW MIA Accounting Agency, DPAA, announced Friday that the remains of U.S. Army, U.S. Army Air Force, that tripped me up a little bit. U.S. Army Air Force Private First Class Robert L. Coulter, 23, were recently exhumed from the site of a former prisoner of war camp in the Philippines. Yes, same one. Dang it, I love it when I'm right. No, I have not read this yet. In 1942, Coulter was captured by Japanese soldiers after U.S. forces surrendered, along with thousands of others who were interned at POW camps. Coulter and his fellow soldiers were forced to walk 65 miles from Bataan, a journey known as the Bataan Death March, where they were subjected to abuse, starvation, and torture. Coulter was among over 2,500 POWs who died at the Cabanatuan camp. I'll get this right eventually. According to historical records, Coulter died on July 28, 1942, and was buried in a common grave at the camp cemetery along with other deceased prisoners. So it looks like that's his grave right there. After the war, the U.S. military removed the remains from the camp and took them to a temporary mausoleum in Manila. 5 sets of remains from Coulter's grave were identified in 1947, but he was buried as an unknown. Excuse me. Coulter's remains would go undisturbed until 2018, when DPAA sent them to a laboratory to be analyzed. Scientists use a combination of anthropological analysis, mitochondrial DNA analysis, and circumstantial evidence to identify him on September 25th, 2023. The fact that they used mitochondrial DNA analysis, it could be that this man, he only had female surviving relatives. If he had male surviving relatives, they would have been able to do Y-DNA analysis along with mitochondrial DNA analysis. But as I said, as I told you guys, males have a mitochondrial and a Y-DNA. So all they needed was to find a female family member that was a mitochondrial DNA match, and that's how they could identify this person. Man, I freaking love science. I love science. DNA evidence gets a bad rap sometimes, but DNA evidence has been able to help adoptees find their biological parents, solve crimes, and like this, identify, soldiers who died as prisoners of war, and their families get closure knowing that, yes, this person has a name. We know what happened to our family member, and we can actually get them laid to rest. Freaking love this. Although interred as an unknown in MACM, Coulter's grave was meticulously cared for over the past 70 years by the American Battle Monuments Commission. A release from DPAA stated, Coulter's family has yet to determine his final resting place. So it looks like they got these remains, but with the decomposition and all of that, being able to identify them was not very easy. DNA testing makes it much easier. So this is so awesome. Look at this. You got, FHP. This is awesome. So if you guys want to see this whole video here from WFLA, I will put it in the description box of the video so you can see it. It's 16 minutes long, but frankly, I would sit and watch the entire 16 minutes. I mean, like I've said, I've been to military funerals, and it's just something about them. And being able, again, to see these family members get the remains of their loved ones back with a name, and they know what happened, know what happened to them. So I will drop that. Actually, let me put this in. I'm going to put it in the chat, but I'm also going to put it in the description box. You guys can check that out. Polk County. I wonder if Sheriff Grady Judd was over there too. I love this. He might have been. Go and check that. I'll have to go and check that out. So yeah, February 2nd of this year. So go and check that. Go and check that out. Let's see. Hey, Anonymous, how you doing? Good seeing you. Good seeing you too. Let's see. Tina Guzman, hello, says, I'm so happy that his family and others that will be identified can have closure. Yeah, absolutely. That wondering about what happened to your loved ones, something else. And if I remember correctly, and Darth Plato and you other scholars can correct me, one of the reasons that Memorial Day came about during the Civil War, when you had soldiers that were dying, they really didn't have, some of them really didn't have any identification. They didn't want to get put like into an unmarked grave or things like that. And in some places, you actually had some people who were slaves who would actually find the names and write the names and of some of the soldiers who died during the Civil War. I think it was a Ken Burns documentary. I think that I watched, even though I got issues with him. But anyway, not being identified, your family not knowing what happened, to you. So Tim Bowman says, I always get choked up when I hear about these things. Yeah, I do too. I mean, I really didn't understand about the first time that I heard about quote unquote POWs was when I was like in eighth grade during history class and had no idea like what a POW was or anything. So when I found out like about things like about the Bataan Death March and some of our soldiers who were like POWs in like Vietnam and they didn't know what happened to them. And like years, it seemed like over the years, you would get a trickle about, the Vietnamese government had released, some remains, like, okay, we finally have to send them to you. But then they couldn't identify who they were. If you get, and if you get sent basically a bunch of bones, you can't really tell who it is, especially if you don't have the what's I gonna say? Especially if you don't have the teeth. So you can't use dental records, if you don't have, if you don't have the teeth or stuff like that. So at least with DNA testing, it's so crazy helpful. I told my relatives they better not ever commit a crime. So many of us are DNA tested. I'm like, look, don't be stupid. There is also a movie with Colin Firth called The Railway Man about a former British POW of a Japan forced labor camp who finds out the man who tortured him is still alive. Really? Wow. That's pretty freaking cool. That is pretty darn cool. This is so much fun with you, Lorena. Well, I'm so glad. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. I'm just gonna put this up here for a little bit more so you guys can see it while I go through the rest of the comments. Let's see. And of course, that is the article where you can go and check it. You can go and check it out. Freedom isn't free. Some gave all. I'm so grateful for their sacrifices. God bless them and their families. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So definitely do yourself a favor and watch this video. Uh, the link I'll put in there to this article. Look at that. It's got to be the family members. Oh my gosh! Can you just imagine that? That's possibly the family members, but find out when I listen to the listen to the video. Cernapupa says there is another story from World War II of this type. Oh, okay. Thank you, Snortopupus. Let me. How come I can't? How come I can't copy this? No, I don't want to ban you. Okay, hold on one second. It's weird. I can't grab it from StreamYards because StreamYards is being a doofus right now. Hey, Biggerford Entertainment. I see you, Anzo. How you doing? How you doing, my dear? I love how 9 times out of 10, if I if I get an ad, if I get an ad in on YouTube, it's in Spanish. I'm like, I get it, but come on. Okay. All right. So thank you, Snortopupus. We're gonna flip over to this other one to show you guys, and I'll put this link in there too. St. Pete's World War II pilot's remains return home. 80 years he was shot down. This Veterans Day is for you. Wow. It took over 80 years, but an Army pilot from St. Petersburg finally returned home. Lieutenant Gilbert Myers was shot down over Italy in 1943, and his remains were buried in St. Pete on Friday, just before Veterans Day. I think I'll remember most how much this meant to others besides the immediate family, said his niece Jean Corey, that this is a community event. Lieutenant Myers was born in Pittsburgh in 1916. The Great Depression sent his family looking for work, which is when they resettled in St. Pete in 1936. Check it out. Gilbert enlisted in 1940 and left for service on December 2nd, 1941. Pearl Harbor was 5 days later. He wrote to his family in 1942, "Many are doing a lot of talking, and hell, it's action that counts." Wow, look at all these letters. To be able to go from just a regular guy in St. Pete to flying aircraft in World War II, I find that pretty remarkable, said his grandnephew, Doug Corey. Yet the military gave a lot of young men, especially young men who didn't have that much of an education or they came from a lot of rural areas like my grandfather did. They got to do all kinds of cool ass stuff in the military and go places that they never thought that they would go. On July 10th, 1943, as the Allies began coming ashore in Sicily, Lieutenant Myers was charged with softening Axis defenses from the air. Axis powers, in case some of y'all don't remember, of course, was Germany, Italy, and Japan. After he dropped rounds of bombs, anti-aircraft fire hit him and he went down with his B-25. Get out. American crews later found his plane but could never confirm the remains were his. He simply never came home. She didn't talk to a lot of us kids when we were small about anything like that, Doug Corey said of his grandmother. And so we kind of picked up over the years to see what really happened. The crash site was investigated in the early parts of 2022 by the Defense POW MIA County Agency. Remains were found and matched with DNA from the Myers family. Freaking love this. Absolutely love this stuff. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Good seeing you. Let's see. All of a sudden, we're trying to create this person we've never met, said Jean Corey. There's no one alive today that we know of who ever met him. His remains were brought to St. Pete, and the DPMAA arranged for this funeral 80 years after his sacrifice helped defeat fascism and allow for democracy's rebirth in huge swaths of the world. We are so lucky to live in a country that still sets a high purpose, bringing home and honoring everyone who serves, says Jean Corey. It took 80 years, but America's commitment to Lieutenant Gilbert Myers has been fulfilled. This Veterans Day is for you, says Doug Corey. Wow. Thank you so much, Snortopoopus, for bringing this to our attention. This is awesome. I love this. It's so glad that they get closure, but it's something else when you get DNA tested and you get this definitive link of you to this person that you've never, you know, you've never met before. It's just freaking awesome. Reina Creole, go read Dead Men Do Tell Tales by criminal anthropologist William R. Maples, PhD. I think he's been on Investigation Discovery. I think his name sounds familiar. I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah, the military gave those men a purpose. Yeah, they did. Like with my grandfather, he only went to school until 5th grade, and then he had to work the family farm. So that was as high as his education went. So when he got discharged out of the military, he used his GI Bill, well, one to buy a house, and two to get his GED. So yeah. Now that's a story brought to you by a bear. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That story is sad but beautiful at the same time. Yeah, Tina Guzman, it is. I mean, we joke a lot on this channel, but when it comes to real stuff like this, I love this. I love this stuff. Rest now, Lieutenant Gilbert Myers, for you are at peace at last. Thank you for your service. Yes, and may they all rest in peace. Absolutely. 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 So, folks, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, brought to you by the people who made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. And not only just our country, but I always feel this affinity for the Brits. And you guys tell me exactly, I forget which holiday it is. I think you guys like wear poppies or stuff like that. I always thought that was cool too. I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome. That's freaking awesome. The Falklands War. Dang, really? Shoot. I forgot about the Falklands War. You are very welcome. You are very welcome. And tomorrow for Manic Monday, remember it's going to be at a different time. It's going to be at 4:30 because the flag retreat ceremony is going to be at 5 o'clock. So hopefully I can get the same spot that I did for Veterans Day. So we'll have a nice view of the flag retreat ceremony. For people who don't know, for I think they do it at Disneyland, but Walt was a huge proponent of our military and our veterans. And at 5 p.m. every day at the Magic Kingdom, they honor a soldier, airman, you know, someone from the US military. When they bring the flag down and they properly fold up the flag, they give that flag to a member of the military. And it is a beautiful ceremony. And for me, just the encompassment of just what Walt Disney World is about. My grandfather loved Walt Disney because he loved the military. So I can't wait to show you guys that. Some people, they show what they want, they stream what they want. But for holidays like this, I like to show you guys those things that most people don't really see. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. He was. As a matter of fact, I have a book. It's so gorgeous. Uh, it's one you call those like table, like coffee table books about Walt Disney and World War II. It's one of my favorite books. I love it. I love it. All right, folks. Well, I'm gonna roll on out of here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I went a little longer than I planned, but I figured this was actually quite important to share with all of you, and especially knowing that these three Florida men who gave the ultimate sacrifice are now identified and are back home, and their families are at peace. So, saying to you, Tim Bowman, love you, Reina. God bless our military and their sacrifices. Yes, yes. So, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. If you're on the replay crew, let me know in the comments if you're part of the replay crew. And I will see you guys tomorrow, 4:30 Eastern, from Magic Kingdom for the flag retreat ceremony for Memorial Day. Take care. Bye.